Coming up, a meeting of the Neighborhood and Community Development Standing Committee. Don't go away. Coming up next, the Economic Development and Finance Standing Committee meeting.
Community Development Standing Committee. Public input is welcome on any item that comes before the committee. If you wish to make a comment on any item, you'll come to the podium and microphone in the center of the room, and you'll have 3 minutes to make your comments to the committee. We do ask that anyone who speaks to the committee or at that podium, please speak as directly as possible into a microphone for accurate recording and broadcast purposes. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Walters? Argia? Here. Townsend?
Here.
Burrows?
Here.
McKiernan?
Here. There are no revisions to the original agenda that was posted, so our next item of business is approval of the Standing Committee minutes from February 5th meeting.
Move approval.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve those minutes as they were submitted. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Those minutes are approved as they were submitted. That takes us to the committee agenda. There are 2 items on the agenda tonight. The first is land bank business, so I'll turn this over to Mr. Chris Slaughter.
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. We'll get right started. First, we have 15 applications, 12 are yard extensions, 3 are property acquisitions, and as usual, everybody's current on taxes and there's no code violations. First one is a yard extension for 1041 Shawnee. It's in red. The applicant is at 1043, outlined in black. Next one is 289 South 8th Street. It's this property here in red. The applicant at 291 South 8th Street. Another extension, 1516 North 44th Street in red. And the applicant is at 1510 North 44th Street. 22 North James Street in red with the applicant at 20 North James Street. 2003 North 9th Street here in red with the applicant here at 864 Troop. 2525 Alden, which is here in red with the applicant here at 2523 Alden. 2415 North 37th Street, again shown in red with the applicant here at 3620 Haskell. 1020 Lowell Avenue, shown here in red. The applicant is at 1022, and we did go by, and that house has been, or the land bank property is just a vacant lot. 270 South Bethany, which is this one here in red, and the applicant at 272 South Bethany. 2921 Faro, the applicant is here at 2929 Faro. 232 North Early, which is this property here. The applicant owns 234 North Early, also owns, I believe it's 239, and they also own the property here at 839 Tenney. 1968R Stewart Avenue, which is this square here in red, applicants at 1972. We have a property acquisition for the church here at 901 Greeley. They also own these 2 properties here, And this is the property here, and it is also vacant. I forgot to go by and get an updated picture of that one. 610 South Valley, which is here in red. The applicant owns these two properties, which includes 1251 Kansas Avenue. 1933 North 18th, which is here. The applicant is here at 1722 Short. Those are all the applicants. The Land Bank Advisory Board did recommend approving these and forward them on for final approval. And again, that's our request, is the approval and forward for final approval.
Move for approval.
There's a motion and a second to approve all of the Land Bank requests as submitted by Land Bank. Commissioner Townsend, did you have any comments or questions on any of these properties?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do not.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone in attendance tonight like to make a comment on any of these properties? Seeing no one rise to come. Yes, ma'am.
I'm Gil Johnson.
Oh, okay. I tell you what, get to the microphone, and now there's a little button right there on the front of that little microphone, and you punch that button so the light turns green. Officer Dolshaw will help you out.
Taste.
Okay, the light's red, but it's
Said,
on.
I'm Gil Johnson, and I'm interested in the property at 2003 North 9th Street, and I have been caring for that property ever since Parallel was built, the new Parallel Parkway, and I would appreciate it if you all would consider.
Okay, so ma'am, are you the person who's applying to acquire that property?
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. So the motion that's been made here tonight is to approve your acquisition of that property. Yours is included, and the motion that's on before the committee is to approve all of the requests as submitted.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So we have a motion and a second to approve all of the requests for Land Bank as submitted. Any further comment? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Roll call. Murguia?
Aye.
Townsend?
Aye.
Burrows?
Aye.
McKiernan?
Aye. And so all of these applications that Mr. Slaughter just showed on the screen have been approved as submitted, and everyone will follow up with Mr. Slaughter at a later date just to move the process along to the next step. Thank you.
Thank you. We have two transfers, 20 South Bokey Street and 4100 Roswell. These are properties that are next to existing rehab properties. So they're in the rehab program. They're currently being rehabbed, and the ask is to just have additional property once they're done to help market these properties. So again, the picture on the right is 18 South Bokey, which is currently being rehabbed. The picture here does show a house. I did make it to that, and that this basically here is 20 South Bokey. So that's the one request, and then we have the request here for the property here to the east of 4100 Roswell, which also is in the process of being rehabbed.
So the house they're working on is the one on the right? Going to work some magic on that.
This one on the left here.
Okay.
And this is the request.
All righty. So we have two requests that basically would be combined with the parcels for houses that are currently being renovated.
Correct, and the way we'll do it is once the renovation is complete, then when we would transfer the land bank off, we would also then transfer the property to them.
Perfect. Any comments or questions on these two properties? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion for these two properties.
Move for approval.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve these two transfers from the land bank as submitted. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Walters? Murguia?
Aye.
Townsend?
Aye.
Burrows?
Aye.
McKiernan?
Aye. That finishes up item number 1 and takes us to item number 2, which is the second time we're going to consider a recommendation for land bank policy updates. Mr. Slaughter.
Thank you. Based on the conversation we had last month, we went back and made some changes, which we hope will be to your satisfaction. The first change is highlighted bold here in the presentation, and that is we added the language that when at least one or more of the following conditions are met is when we would then be bringing this application or donation request to this board for approval. As you can see, just some of the highlights of some of the situations where we would bring the property owner doesn't have resources to upgrade or get the property up to codes. If it's in a targeted area, again, I always love using the example of the Douglas Sumner neighborhood, St. Peter's Waterway neighborhood. If there was a property in there, we'd like to be able to grab it and get a hold of that. If we have an agreement because the property is a vacant lot, that maybe the adjacent owner is willing to take that on as a yard extension. Again, we talked about the rehab program. And then if we do need to demo it, but we have an understanding with either the unified government, City of Edwardsville, City of Bonner Springs, that they have funds that would be able to take that down at no additional expense to us. And again, that would be if it's definitely in a state of demolition. What we've also changed kind of per our conversation was we took some of these ones that we kind of were having some discussion on, and these could be something that may just be an exclusion or exception against a property with adverse environmental conditions. Maybe there's not a clear and marketable title that would cost some additional expense to obtain. Anything that's occupied, those are additional steps that involve the courts and the sheriff's department we may want to look at. Again, we would not take a donation for the purpose of tax benefits. And then again, all exceptions must come to the board. We're still hoping to reserve the right to reject or accept any request. And then if it's eligible for a tax sale, but maybe it's something we don't want to take right away, we'll definitely make the request to the Delinquent Real Estate Department to get that in an updated tax sale, or upcoming tax sale, excuse me. So those were the changes. More than welcome to entertain questions or discussion.
Any comments or questions? These, basically, it appears, and again, for the benefit of staff, I'll just ask that PDF copies that are on board sync match what's handed out, since mine does not match, and I need to look at this paper copy. It appears that at least everything I brought up last month has been addressed in this.
Commissioner, I just want to recognize that. Thank you for pointing out that error, and we will make sure the online version is correct.
Thank you. Okay. Any comments or questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
I reviewed the proposed language, and I think it does accurately represent the nature of our discussion of last month with these, and these were some thorny issues, but I think this is a good reflection of what we talked about in our intent. So thank you, Mr. Slaughter, and your staff.
So with that, I would entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
So we have Commissioner Townsend moved to approve. Commissioner Murguia got in second, so we'll take that as a second. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Walters? Aye. Murguia?
Aye.
Townsend?
Aye.
Burrows?
Aye.
McKiernan?
Aye. Mr. Slaughter, I'll echo Commissioner Townsend. Thanks for your work on this. I think we're taking some really great steps forward. That is the last item on our, wait a minute, you told me you were going to have an update on land bank rehabs. It's also not on my agenda.
I appreciate the time, and if we need to move these to quarterly, we can do that, but I always,
I would
like to leave on a high note.
Future agendas, can we just put this on the agenda so that I don't have to remember, or if we're just going to do it routinely, just put it on as a standing item on the agenda so that we are just prompted that we're going to consider it.
Yeah, I apologize. We'll start doing that. So currently we're at 50 contractors. We have 111 houses in the inventory. 29 are currently going through the demo program. 76 are in the rehab program. We have 6 right now that we're dealing with evictions. The previous owner have filed motions in court to set the tax sale aside, so those are kind of just sitting there on hold. We do have 15 that the process has started. 11 are waiting to be closed, and those generally are just waiting on the title insurance company to come up with the policy. We have 50 houses with no offers, but 25 currently are from tax sale. We had open houses last week, and offer packets went out this morning, so we'll have those due next week. And our second round of open houses will be on Wednesday, and we should have something probably within a week after that. So we have 10 houses complete. I think it was mentioned earlier if we would be able to meet our 2017 number of 5. I think we've at least matched it. So hopefully by next month we'll break that. I don't know if we'll plan a celebration yet, but we're working on that. So the last one, real quickly, 1515 North 38th Street. It literally sits on 38th if you're going along that corridor. You can see it before or after the outside. Just some pictures of the update. Again, one that we got in pretty decent condition compared to some of the other befores that we've shown you. Updated kitchen, updated bath, and then just some facts about that. It took 5 months for them to do it. Beginning of this year was appraised at $32,500, and they currently have it listed for $75,000. So once we get an update on it, what that sold for, we'll gladly pass that along. I will say the one we talked about last month on South 8th, it was listed at $149,900. They did drop it to $139,900, but they did get a contract for that amount. So again, just wanted to share some good positive results of the program, and that's all I have.
Well, I'll just say again, I really appreciate all the work that everyone is putting into this program, because we're making a very positive difference. In these houses, like many of the rest of them, probably would have slid all the way to demolition if we hadn't been able to intervene positively. So I really appreciate the work that everyone is doing in this, and the fact that in the first 3 months of this year, you're really equal with all of last year and ready to eclipse that is really incredible. So well done. So now I'll check my agenda to see if there's anything else on here. And I do believe that is the last item. And so this meeting of the Neighborhood and Community Development Standing Committee is adjourned. Once again, everyone who was here for Land Bank, your applications were approved as submitted, and you can follow up with Mr. Slaughter.
Economic Development and Finance Standing Committee to order. I will now, we want to welcome everyone this evening. Public comment is welcome. Anyone wishing to speak on any item of the Standing Committee agenda may do so when the item is up for discussion. You will have up to 3 minutes to state your comments. Please come forward to the microphone and you will be recognized. For accurate recording purposes, we ask that all present speak directly into the microphone. Roll call. Would clerk please call the roll?
Roll call. Bryant?
Here.
Walters? Here. Murguia? Here. Townsend?
Here.
McKiernan?
Here?
Burrows?
Here. Next, we have minutes from our February 5th meeting.
Move to approve.
Second?
There's been a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign? Seeing none? All in favor? Pass. So we will now move on to the first item. We only have the one item this evening. It's a resolution to amend the master equipment lease purchase agreement with the Bank of America. So with that, Debbie?
Thank you, Commissioners. This is our an amendment to our master equipment lease agreement, purchase agreement. You have several items within your packet. You have the resolution that authorizes the amendment. There is a schedule of equipment for all the potential items that could be financed in 2018. There is an amendment to the master lease agreement, and I will just talk about what's included in that amendment. The first item is that it extends the date of the agreement through 12/31 of 2018. The previous agreement expired on December 31st of 2017. So this amendment extends the agreement through 2018. And the second item in the amendment is there is an adjustment to the pricing formula table. So it's slightly different from the original agreement. And then we also included in your packet the original agreement that was approved back in October of 2013 for your reference.
And the purpose for the extension?
The purpose of the extension, once the master lease, the previous one agreement expired, we can't lease finance any additional pieces of equipment until we extend that, and we're on 1-year extensions.
Committee, any questions? Move for approval. Motion made, seconded for approval. Roll call.
Roll call. Bryant?
Aye.
Walters? Mergia?
Aye.
Townsend?
Aye.
McKiernan?
Aye.
Burrows?
Aye. Seeing no further business, I don't have anything on the public agenda this evening. Seeing none, motion to adjourn. We are adjourned.
Coming up, a meeting